Hi students, folks, people. Welcome to another exciting Sunday of the virtual classroom with your friend and host, Prof.ZAK. Today I've brought to you a GMAT analytical writing assessment task, which is analyzing an argument essay. The question is in front of you, and it says, the following appeared in the editorial section of a monthly business news magazine. Most companies would agree that as the risk of physical injury occurring on the job increases, the wages paid to employees should also increase. Hence, it makes financial sense for employers to make the workplace safer. They could thus reduce their payroll expenses and save money. Discuss how well reasoned you find this argument. And these are some key points to note here, students. In your discussion, be sure to analyze the line of reasoning and the use of evidence in the argument, which is the excerpt I just read. For example, you may need to consider what questionable assumptions underlie the thinking and what alternative explanations or counterexamples might weaken the conclusion. You can also discuss what sort of evidence would strengthen or refute the argument. And now by saying you can also discuss, this is sort of optional. So he's giving us 3 or 4 pointers that are required mandatory steps in the assignment. You can also discuss what sort of evidence would strengthen or refute the argument, what changes in the argument would make it more logically sound, and what, if anything, would help you better evaluate its conclusion. Now, this is a 30-minute verbal task. It's an analytical writing assessment. It's called the argument essay. It is slightly different from the regular IELTS essay that we've been talking about in the sense that you can deviate from the conventional introduction, body, and conclusion in this one. Secondly, there is no word limit bondage here. A student is free from a word limit in this essay. So you're free to write as much as your creativity and imagination allows you, as long as you fulfill the requirement in the assignment. So in this one, he says that he's talking about work-related physical injury, and he wants us to analyze the argument that the companies want to save their payroll expenses, and that's what he wants us to analyze. But what he wants us to do is, not only does he want us to analyze the line of reasoning and the use of evidence in the argument, but he also wants us to question the assumptions that underlie the thinking, what alternative explanations or counterexamples might weaken the conclusion as well. And then in the end, as an option, he also wants us to perhaps discuss what sort of evidence would strengthen or refute the argument. I always tell my students that this is a quick, sort of like a courtroom defense argument. This is like it's like a courtroom battle. So you have very limited time to actually make an argument in favor or in opposition to a jury, which is the reader in this case, the examiner reading your essay. Now, again, be mindful that there can be as many essays, responses as possible, because how many ever candidates are there in the examination hall will write according to their style, will write according to their, whatever ideas they get on the spot. So really, there is no correct or wrong essay response. The essay only can be well written or poorly written. And that's what they grade you on. It's just how well you write the essay, and that's what you get a score of 6 out of. So I already took the liberty to type my response out of a possible multiple responses, and I just wanted to show you that of all the pointers that I read, I tried to follow as many, all of them. And I'm going to demonstrate to you by reading my response that I just got done typing this and I started recording. So this is the first paragraph of what I've written in my response. I immediately get into the battle, and I start by saying, the argument is not well reasoned at all. The premise that employers ought to make the workplace safer merely to save money on payroll expenses is highly apathetic and, generally speaking, represents a one-dimensional view of workplace safety. Further to add, despite all the precautions in the world, an on-site breach of safety may still occur, and the business might still have to incur damages and losses, payout expenses in line with workman's comp bylaws, even a life insurance claim in case of a work-related injury resulting in loss of life. So no matter how you look at it, there will always be a blowback. Rather than safeguarding payroll expenses alone, corporations should adhere to federal and statutory occupational safety and health standards with the intention of providing employees with a safe and adequately protected work environment in order to provide an office ambiance conducive to fulfilling the health and safety needs of workers in accordance with fundamental labor rights, in addition to a stable working environment that also offers job security. So we've fulfilled the 2 points that he was talking about in the beginning, and now we'll just address the questionable assumptions that underlie the thinking in the argument. The line of evidence used in the argument quite weakly supports the one-sided logic of the finance department of any given employer rather than projecting the cultural values of a corporate business as a whole. Additionally, the danger of physical injury itself cannot be assumed to exist only at places of employment where there may be inventory handling, warehouse management, or dockyard type of work with huge containers and so on taking place. Albeit, the risk of physical injury looms large at any or all places of work, and a work-related injury can occur in any office of any company of any industry, which is exactly why general rules of safety need to be incorporated, practiced, and adhered to no matter the nature of employment. This way, wages would not need to be raised in accordance with the risk of physical harm associated with the job either, but instead purely in skills and talent, as the safety standards in place would be the same for all. The implementation of such recommended measures would rectify the questionable assumptions underlying the thinking in the argument presented. This is a 359 words essay response. Now, where he gives us, in the end, he gives us the option to do the last point. What I would do is you could easily mention a personal example that, you were in an industry and you still got injured. Like, for example, if I talk about myself, I was in hospitality management, and I had an experience personally where I had an episode with a chemical substance in my eyes, and I had a burning episode with my eyes where I was rushed to the ER to be treated for a chemical reaction in my eyes. Although, all the safety standards were in place and everything was already in top-notch order. So I would end with that personal example just to follow the last point, and I'll show you what that was again. So because he gives us an option to do that, so if I was going to address that last point, which he talks about giving an evidence, I would just give a personal evidence, and that's about it. So folks, this was it for the GMAT writing assessment for today. Tomorrow I'll try and come to you with a GRE writing assessment as well that will be analyzing an issue essay. Please take care of yourself, stay blessed. Once again, this is your friend and host Prof.ZAK saying adios amigos, ciao. If you like the video, share, subscribe, and like, and do comment or critique by sending in an email at eecoaching@gmail.com or WhatsApp at +92 321 454 1716. Enjoy yourselves on a happy Sunday and stay safe as always. Please take care of yourselves. Once again, this is Prof.ZAK of Easy Coaching signing out.